Now we're all good to go. Okay, there we
Yeah,
go. Got everything sorted. Good morning, everyone.
good morning.
Good morning, wife.
Morning, husband.
So I'm down at my brother's today. So
Well,
have a different background for training today. Those of you watching on YouTube, that pretty young girl there, that's my usual background with the swords in the back there. So, but yeah, I'm taking a little vacation for a night down at my brother's with the girls, and yeah,
yeah, cool,
yeah.
cool. You know what? I just had one of them 24-hour bug things, like the flu on
Oh yeah.
Thursday.
I
It
thought you
came on
said
and
your accent.
I know,
Your
sorry.
accent. It sounded like you said I had a 24-hour bog.
But
Like I'm thinking, what? You've been sat on the toilet for 24 hours? Man, that's intense.
I did do a lot of time on the toilet. No, it was just one of them bugs.
Yeah,
Bug, it come over you. And
yeah,
Thursday afternoon, the energy just drained out me.
yeah.
I spent the whole day yesterday in bed.
Oh, okay.
Torture. But it went as quick as it came up, is the weird thing about it.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
one of them. So I
Oh,
do
that's
feel a
good.
bit. Ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Not that I'm trying to get out of the stretching or anything like that. Yeah, I'll do my best.
Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, we're good to go.
All right. Let me get my camera lined up because I'm in a new room, so just gotta see that one. Oh, I got that not too bad actually. No, I could have it a bit more up, I suppose. A bit less feet, a bit less height actually. Nope. One moment. That'll do. Okay. Yeah, so sorry about the lighting's not going to be so great today because this light's not really in the right spot comparatively to where I usually train it at home. But, you know, it's a good enough space. I can move. It'll do. Um, shite. 1 second. Okay, now we're good to go. Got my water. Glasses off. Okay, let's do some training. Oh, this is really horrible with this light shining right in my face. Oh well, maybe the sun will come up later and it'll come through that window and I can turn the light off. All right, let's just start moving our body, shall we? Let's do this one to start. So shoulders out to the sides, arms out to the side, pinching the shoulders back. Breathing in, standing up onto your toes, high as you can. Really reach up, 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 and then down. Relaxing out. Oh, it's warmer in here than my house. I'm going to have to take my jumper off. Breathe in again. Looking up a little bit, lifting the chest, right up tall, and relax down. Again. Out to the front. Lift it up. Same thing, just coming up the front. Standing up tall, and then drag your shoulders back to the rear as they come down. Same again. Really opening up your chest as you go through. As you're coming down, stretching that chest open, elbows back, palms back. Full spinal opening and closing. Bending the knees, tilting the pelvis down to stick the bum out, arching the back, chest forward, shoulders back, head up, lift that chest up, elbows back, palms back. Everything's back that way as far as it can go. Then you breathe out and curl everything up into a ball. Then open up, breathing in. Close it up, breathing out. Open up, breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. In. Out. Give it a little wriggle in this closed position. Just wriggle your hips. Lean forward a little bit in this position and wriggle your hips. So you're kind of stretching down through your lower back. Just wriggling, feeling out where those little tight spots are in your lower spine from sleeping. And then back up to straight. Okay, hinging forward. Like so. You can do this at 45 degrees. Relax your spine and straighten your spine. Or if you prefer, you can do it at 90 degrees. Relax your spine and straighten your spine. Relax your spine. Breathe in and straighten your spine and open your hands out. Relax everything down, breathing out. Breathe in, lift everything up to straight, pinching the shoulder blades back as far as you can, and relax down. Keep it going, breathing in, lifting up, breathing out, relaxing down. Take your hands over your head. Take your hands behind your body. Over your head. Behind your body. Link your fingers. Be careful with this one if you've got any shoulder problems or anything. And then relax your body down. Rounding the back again as your shoulders come over the top. Relax your arms. Roll your spine back up. Breathing in. Breathing out at the top. A couple more opening and closings. Opening. Closing. Opening. Closing. Okay, one more for the shoulders, then we'll do a couple for the legs, and then get into some Yang Luchan form and small Sansa. Okay, so we are going to lift the hands up from neutral down here. You're going to lift them up like so, and pull your palms back like that. Okay, relax them down, pull them up and back. like you're taking some water and splashing it across your face or something. Except you're not just, doing this. You're doing a little bit more than that. Pulling the elbows back, pulling the palms back. Make sure the palms are coming first, kind of thing. Or not first, but together with the elbows. So don't go like this and then this. It's, see how the elbows and the palm get there basically at the same time, you see? So imagine you're pulling something backwards, and at the top of the movement, you're squeezing the shoulder blades together, like so, keeping your shoulders down, don't let them come up, so down shoulders, elbows back, palms back, and then when you get to that position, squeeze your elbows down, keeping them back, but just squeeze them down to your ribs, then drop your hands down, but notice the palms are still completely externally rotated like that, and then at the bottom of the movement, you just relax everything. So it comes up, breathing in, a little bit of weight comes forward into the toes as you breathe in, squeezing at the top, then breathing out, and finally relaxing at the bottom. Again, breathing in, weight's coming forward onto the toes a little bit. Squeeze, and then as you breathe out, you sink back into your heels. Same again. Pull those hands back, engaging all your postural muscles, and then just get into a flow with the movement. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. If you've got any shoulder problems, little pinchy bits and clicky bits and crunchy bits, this will really help. Especially if you start putting a little bit of resistance behind it. So doing the same movement with, with a couple of small weights in your hands or a stretchy band or something like that. But even just this, it's a fantastic way of mobilizing the shoulders in the morning, getting all those muscles switched on, all those lazy muscles. A lot of the problems we have in our bodies is not the muscle itself, but it's more the nervous system. So sometimes due to doing certain things like sitting at a desk for 8 hours a day or something, certain muscles can become lazy. So it's the nervous system not switching on those muscles when they should be switched on. I'm always saying this about the glutes. The glute's perfectly strong enough, but it just doesn't realize it's supposed to do the job, so it sits there being lazy. Bit faster. Make sure to squeeze back, 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 and then relax. Okay, bit of legs. Forward into a lunge. Just gentle. A light lunge, just warming the legs up, moving your body around. You're on the ball of the foot, of that rear foot, sinking through the heel of the front foot, sinking your weight down, coming up and down, forward and back, pressing that heel of the rear foot into the ground and off the ground to sort of mobilize the ankle, stretching through this rear hip here. So when I'm coming forward, I'm pulling through that rear hip, opening the hips, closing the hips, just generally wriggling around, moving your body. Switch sides, exactly the same thing. Lengthen through that back leg, bit of ups and downs, bit of forwards and backwardses. Push the heel down, push the toe up, onto the toe, onto the heel, open the hips, close the hips, stretch and lengthen through that back foot. Okay, we're going to go into a same sort of lunge again. Now this time you can do it as deep or as shallow as you like. So you might just want to take something similar to what we just did, or you might want to come down right into like a more extreme thing, like so. So obviously just listen to your own body and go as low as what feels comfortable for you, so that you're, pushing yourself but not straining yourself, kind of thing. Okay, so we're going to step into a lunge, just naturally, and then sink down and lift your palms up. Lifting your chest up, 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 and then down, much the same as we did this morning, just in a funny position, and then back up to the top. Sink down, again, you don't have to be as low as what I'm doing there. Sink down, lift it up, chest up, stretching through that back leg, and take a double shoulder width stance-ish. How wide it is will depend on how low you go, so you'll need to adjust that to your own body. Turn one foot out and just sink down towards that leg. Turn it back in, turn it out, other foot, sink down towards that leg, but keep your body open to the front. Keep that knee in line with your toe. Do not let the knee sag in. Keep it out in line with the toe. Same thing on the other side. This time, go as low as what you can manage. So you might just go to here, you might go to here, you might go right down to touch the elbow on the knee. Come back up, turn it out, and same thing on the other side. Come back to the front, sink down, place your palm on the ground, place both palms on the ground, like so. So your front foot is just turned out at 45 degrees, as always. Point your rear toe and lengthen through that back leg. Turn your body towards your front leg, stretching through the side of your hip here and through the glutes of this front leg. And come back to the front. If you want to try and go a little bit lower to get your elbows on the ground, that's nice as well. Coming back up, flipping that movement around to the other side, like so. Sinking down into that hamstring. So I'm up on the ball of the foot of this leg, sinking into the hamstring of this side, like so. I'm going to bend this knee just slightly at the front and sink in a little more. Opening the hip, closing the hip, rotating my knee to point outwards to get the outside edge of the hamstring woken up. And then just crawl yourself forward to the other side, making space where you can. So exactly the same position. Point that rear toe, lengthen into that back hip. Turn towards your standing leg. Sink in. Turn back to the front. Sink down if you're able to. Just sink as low as you can to stretch through that front hip. And again, spin it around to the rear. Lengthen that foot out. Stretch down through here. Just wake it up. Bend the knee. Sink down again. Open hip, closed hip, and then rotate the knee outward. So you're pointing your knee out to the side as you sink down to hit the outside edge there. Just give the glute a quick little hello. Just two rounds. Sit down like so. So the front knee is at 90 degrees, like so. Rear leg just wherever you like it. Sink down, put your hands on the ground, and then just lay your chest down as close to your knee as you can. So go down like so, and then slide your body across to your foot and sit up, breathe in. Do it again. Breathe in. One more. Just to feel that glute waking up. Bring it back up, then just do the reverse, down towards the toe, over to the knee. Back up. 1, 2, 3. Switch that around to the other side, like so. Same thing, down towards the knee. As you breathe out, over to your foot, and then breathe in. In breath. Reverse the direction. And stand up. All right, we're going to do some revision-y sort of stuff today. We're going to do some repetition and movements through the first sections of both of the forms. So that'll be especially good for those people learning the forms, but as well as the people who are, who might already know the forms. I've got a few more people joining now. Nice. Okay, so let's start off with form, and then we'll finish with sansao, because that'll get us a little bit, pumped up, a little bit more yang, to then do our little workout session for anyone who's joining that. I'm going to take my shoes off, actually. Oh, come on. Seriously? You just hate, why does that sometimes happen? You pull on the lace, whoop, and it just falls apart. Other times you pull on the lace and... I mean, I do know why, but... Just get off. Okay. Right. Yang Lu Chan's form. Let's drill it. We're just going to drill up until pung. Okay? Going to give a few extra little tips along the way, but first of all, we'll just drill it. Let's start off without the mirror image, just to get into some flow. Some people sometimes get a little confused when they're trying to flow when I'm facing them, so I'll start off this way. And then you're into the flow, you sort of know how to do it a little bit, and then I'll face you so that you can see a little bit more detail in the hands. So let's try the normal side first. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Same thing, reverse side. Let's do it again. Repetition and flow, particularly when you can do it following your teacher, or anyone who's just doing it been doing it a little longer than you have. Very important for your training. Not always analyzing and breaking stuff down, just feeling and flowing. Repetition is the only thing that's going to make the movements become natural for you. So you no longer have to think about them. Now we're going to do mirror image. So if I go that way, you go that way. So we'll be doing reverse sides. Okay, let's have a little focus on really getting the transitions between those movements happening. There's no clock in this living room. Why do I always have a problem with finding clocks? I've never noticed that before. I've been to Ben's place loads of times. He has no clock in his living room. Okay. Let me just check what time it is now.
7:30.
About, what? 7:30. 7:30. Okay. Let's do another 10. Okay. Fran? Where's Fran? There she is. Can you call out when it's 20 to 8?
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, the transitional points. Let's have a look at these between movements. So when we lift up, can you see that transitional point? It's very subtle, but it's like as if I'm going like this. okay? But do not do it like that, otherwise you lose the movement. So when the hands are coming up, they're just visually not even noticeable, coming inward slightly. So the fingertips are coming just slightly closer together, which means at the top, see that? And then they come back down. So there's a circle on the top. There's always a circle. We never want to come up on one line and down on the same line, because if ever you do that, you create this kind of stop point. It becomes robotic. So that's how Taiji flows from one move to the next. It has to curve off and then come back down. So same thing here. We don't want to come all the way to the bottom. See? That was a square. We don't want a square. We come down. See that? See when they start moving to the side? There's your circle. Now be careful, don't make it something like already going to the side when you're coming down, or even worse, sort of going out to the other side to make that circle. Don't exaggerate these curves. It's almost a square, but it's just one of those squares with a little, like where the corner of the square is just cut off. So imagine a straight line with a little curve, then a straight line, then a little curve, then a straight line. So there are still straight lines. There's nothing wrong with a straight line. Straight lines are lovely. Just not edges. In Taiji, we never want sharp edges. Okay? They're always curved. Breathing out. And just there. See, they just curve off to the side. Obviously, this part you don't need to worry about. That's just one continuous movement. The only thing here sometimes goes wrong, which I've been noticing in a few people lately when looking at people's forms individually, is thinking about the movements as two separate movements, like in-breath. And so you can put it, if you're not careful, put a sharp edge there, up and then across. That's not nice. You want to think about, this is how the posture should feel. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. You see? That's how it should feel. But obviously slower and controlled. So when we're coming around, see? Flow that. Keep lifting as you as you start crossing to the other side. And now the hands are dropping. See, they're starting to come down as they're still moving to the left. So again, creating a curve there on the end of the movement. This last part here, I really want you to think about being nice and vertical. Even if your body's slightly forwardly compressed here, there's nothing wrong with that. Instead of being, stark beginners, we usually say just to keep everything straight so they don't get confused. But if you're a little bit kind of, oh yeah, I can feel the intent of that hinge. I'm not going to tell a beginner you're wrong, because that's actually how you should be doing it. So long as they're not overdoing it. If someone's misunderstanding the concept and they're overdoing it all the time, okay, no, you just stay straight for a while until you understand the concept of vertical, good posture. And then it can try to go into that slight forward compression. But when we come through now, as the heel rolls up, so you really think, straighten everything up now. Okay, this move here, not so much a transitional thing, just something I wanted to say about the stepping. So we've got a big turn, right? We're going from here, we're going more than 45 degrees because the center is a little bit that side and it's going to go all the way to that corner. So we've got quite a large, obvious turning of the center. Then 2 small turns of the center. But notice where my center is when it finishes. It's, where would I say it? I'd say it's, if there's the corner, there's the front, there's the halfway, it's like just behind the halfway. It's not an exact point. Don't try to think about it as, oh, Eli said it's exactly 22 degrees or 18 degrees or something like that. It's not an exact science. It's about feeling where it feels strong. Basically, what we want is a balance between enough turn to the right so that your pung posture coming forward, ward off that next movement. From here, there's enough twist to the right which makes you feel like, whoa, yeah, that's good. Boom! You've got enough twist of the body to come into that next movement. Hey, you know, I just realized something. Just a little side note. Lift your laptops. Obviously, again, usually my laptop is higher than this, but just in case anyone else is following along, I've got my laptop down on this little sort of coffee table because, as I say, I'm at my brother's place. I don't have my usual setup. And I've just noticed, because I'm looking at myself, I mean, I should be looking at my own camera up here, really. There's no reason for me to see that, but there's just a subconscious thing. When there's someone moving there on the screen, you look at it, you go and gaze towards it. And I'm like, oh yeah, look, I'm checking my own form. You know, I'm looking at myself in the camera. But it means I'm looking down. I just noticed then when I did that posture, I was like, why am I looking? Oh, I'm looking down I'm looking at my screen. Now it's causing my posture to go incorrect because I'm looking down at this screen down here. So try and get your screen, whatever screen you're watching the lesson on, try and get it up at a nice eye level if you can. You might not be able to get it fully to eye level if it's a laptop or something, but just get it as high as you can, so at least it's not down here. This is actually, if I was following a lesson with it down here and really trying to focus on down there, it's like, oh, hang on, I've got to look down there. My gaze should always be here, coming straight out. See, now I'm looking straight towards my camera. You see, that's how I should be doing the movements. So be careful of that when you're following, not to be looking down at your screen. Okay,
Yeah.
back.
It's 22.
Thank you. Okay, just finish off this subject, then we'll do some Sansao. Now, what was I saying? Oh, yes. So, yeah, see there. When I place the foot, there's enough turning to my right so that I feel, oh, yeah, see, look where I am. I'm in like a good open boxing stance, yeah? Whoa, I've got that positioning where I can turn into the movement, okay? But I'm not so far turned that it feels really awkward and uncomfortable to take the step, you see? So if I wasn't taking the step, I could theoretically be here. See, I've changed my stance. I could be, whoa, it feels nice, even though it's a bit too big for a use in a real fight. But it's, yeah, okay, bang, I can load it back here, boom, nothing wrong with doing that. In fact, when you're learning the small Sansao, or this application of this form, and you're learning that back fist, hitting a bag or a mitt or something, yeah, you can stand back here and go, boom, just to get that looseness of the arm. It's way too big, boom, but you get that swinging feeling. Once you get that swinging feeling in your head, from here, whoosh, going through. We'll do that on a bag session one day when I get back home. Then when you come to do it in the form, that's the point. You still want to have enough opening of the center here to feel when I come forward, whoa, enough, boom, so you can still get that swinging feeling. If you take the step, for example, and maybe, see, I hardly turned back then. You see, I'm kind of facing the front. Now I'm going to feel like, oh, yeah, no, I can't really get that movement to work. From that position, I kind of feel more like I want to open and throw a straight punch or something. But yeah, if you watch, if I come to here, okay, there's the poke, there's the strike. See, that feels comfortable. If I try to turn further than that point, oh, it's like it's, because I'm turning too far, now I can't get this hip open enough out that way. So the pelvis needs to be in a certain position to allow this leg to step into that correct stance. If I turn the hips too far back this way, the leg won't bend that way. So you're going to end up with a narrow stance or something like that. Yeah, so that's just something to think about. Find that balance between those 2 points when you do that posture. Open, close, back this way, but don't close too much. And to know how much is enough to get that power is to simply do the technique. Get your kick bag, and I'll show this at a class sometime next week or something, maybe even tomorrow morning. And yeah, just hit the thing. Because you'll find straight away, if you're here, you'll go, yeah, no, that feels rubbish. It's just my arm because my center's not turning. Here, feels great, but I had to change the foot. You see, I had to pivot to allow the hip to turn. So in the form posture, you're going to be like, yeah, that feels awkward. That, or just there, yeah, that feels comfortable. And boom, I've got enough twist left over to hit him with that palm. So that's a really good concept to think about. Okay, right. Got a quarter of an hour left. Let's do some small sansao. We'll do a similar sort of thing now, just on the same set of movements, in fact, on the small sansao. I'm going to start off like I did with the form, facing this way. Nice and easy. Other side. Again. Again. And then tell me when it's 5 to 7. Sorry, 5 to, what time do we start? 7. 5 to 8. Tell me when it's 5 to 8, Fran. What are we doing? Okay, small sense out again from the front. So mirror me this time. We'll start going that way. So it's the same principle here, nothing different. It's just that you got the hands closed, but the same principle in that you got to place the foot down. So again, don't be too far this way to buckle your foot in, but don't allow your center to turn to the front because then you'll get no back fist. So it's the same movement essentially, just done in a slightly different way because this way we're doing it much more for the martial yang side of things. In the form, we're doing the movement in the most ideal way for the qigong. Okay, so it still has its martial elements in there, of course, but it's a little more focused on activating energy and working on that qigong side of things. This form is a little bit more focused on generating physical power and hitting people and, you know, doing the actual fighting techniques. Okay. Okay, few tips. Let's see, what's something I haven't told you lately or at all during these classes? feel like I've actually been giving you a lot of tips on small sensei lately, so. Okay, just this back fist. Just really make sure, let's have a look at that intent, making sure you're getting the correct focus on this movement. So it shouldn't be like a short range movement. Never do the technique as a short range movement. It's a silly technique to do short range. It's not to say you can't do it short range. You can develop enough power eventually with a short range strike. But why? Why would you choose to hit him with a lighter strike that's more difficult to do, easier for him to counter, leaves you more exposed than a simple strike that's more powerful, keeps you protected, easier to do, harder for him to counter? You know, it doesn't make sense why you would do that. So the technique, a back fist, is generally speaking always used from a long range. It's what it's designed to do. Because when you side on like that, maybe you're a bit turned to the side, whomp, that's the easiest hand to just fling out there in one motion, you see, rather than having to coil it in and then do it. See, that takes a little bit more time. We've got to coil it in order to do a jab. But from there, boom, I can come directly. And the great thing about back fists, here's the great thing. I'll tell you what is the most important aspect of a back fist. People don't expect them. Because if people have done any kind of training, the likelihood of them training back fists is not that much. Because competition arts don't use back fists. They use back spinning back fists to great effect, like in Muay Thai, things like that, or even in the MMA and so on. But they don't use these sort of from the side snapping back fists. Why? Because they've got gloves on. A back fist doesn't have a lot of weight behind it. It has snap. So therefore, because it doesn't penetrate that deeply, you want to use your back fist to hard bony areas in behind the jaw, into the temple, the eye. Well, the eye is not a hard bony area, but it still doesn't need that much penetration to hurt it. But yeah, the hard bony areas around the jaw and the head, the temple and so on, because you don't need to go in really deep to cause a good effect. If you're accurate enough, you can easily knock someone out with a back fist. But even if it doesn't, it's still a great setup to come crashing through with something a little more substantial. And people don't expect them because they don't train them. If you don't train something, you won't feel it coming. You won't have read that movement. See, look, I'm still looking down here at myself. Look up here. I need to get some kind of a little picture up there of something interesting, so I look at my camera. Anyway, yeah, they work fantastically because you're on this side. Most people, if they've trained something, it's going to be more likely to have been something like boxing, Muay Thai, your competition styles. Especially if they're that type of person who wants to go out and fight people, right? I want to go to the pub and get into a fight. Anyone with that mentality, it's very rare that type of mentality goes to a Taiji class or a Wing Chun class or maybe a karate class. They might potentially go to that because they see it as a bit more hard, you know, and tough or something like that. But yeah, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to Muay Thai, boxing, MMA, all that sort of stuff. Not knocking those styles at all. They're brilliant styles, but just the differences between them. So because they don't use the back fist, they won't know it coming. So that's where, you know, when I've sparred with Muay Thai guys and stuff like that, I try to use these, you know, normal punches and they're like, whoop, 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 I can't hit them. But then I use something different that I know they don't train, and all of a sudden I start catching them out. So that's the thing. You've got to see what's happening, and obviously in the moment you can't necessarily always know who you're fighting because it might just start happening like that. But as I say, you can base your fighting skills on, well, it's a pretty good, I've got pretty good odds that he knows how to defend against this, but maybe he doesn't know how to defend against a jab coming from a back fist rather coming from the side. See, when you don't have the glove on, you get your knuckles, those hard little bones digging into spots, and ooh, it can really throw your head if you catch it just in behind the jaw or something, even across the temple, or if you can, just above the ear, right there. Don't ever hit anyone in training at that point. Okay, so what we want to do with this then is have the intent to go out and get him. Okay, so come down, there's your block. Don't just think, bang. See? Very short step, whomp, and the hand didn't extend very far. I want to think a little bit of a longer step, and whomp. See where the fist went out to? Whomp, look where I'm striking. I'm back here, I'm going, whoa. It's a go out and get him, reach out, chase the guy. Because he's come in with a low punch, boom, and then he's taken a step back to do something, whatever his reasoning is to step back. People do it all the time. It's a very common tactic, whether that person's trained or untrained. They come in with something, whoa, and then, and then drop back. So as they are loading their fist, you've taken that, as they step back to load, whoa, you chase them up and hit them as they're loading. That's the idea of the technique. So block it down, step forward, and whoa. Turn your center all the way to the front so that your hand reaches out, and remember that your hand should be making contact here, like sort of in line with your shoulder, or even just a fraction outside your shoulder, but definitely not here on the center line. That's not what we're doing a back fist. The back fist contact is here. The recoiled position may be here, but the back fist itself is out here. So let's try that, drilling it a few times. Let's just do it from the last one of these. Bang, bring it down, whoo, step forward, get him, wah! See, go and get him, chase him when you do that technique. Let's do the other side. Bang. Go and get him. Hello, thank you. Thank you, darling. Let's do a couple more. Go and get him. All right, that was nice. Dum, dum, boom, boom. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Okay, any questions, guys?
Yeah, Eli, can you hear me?
Yep.
Question about that one. This.
Yep.
Do you sit on the rear leg or between?
You're about 90% on the rear leg. So you've still got some weight on the front leg, a little bit of balancing control, but you are ultimately on the rear leg. Yeah.
More like that.
Yeah. So what you want to be doing there, when you like what you're thinking about when you do it, you're just hanging around, standing around, doing your own thing. There's something coming from this side of your head. You're maybe chatting to your wife out at the shops, and you feel something coming, a punch, whatever. So your body, of course, wants to go, whoa, and make space. You're trying to create space from that thing coming in. As a general rule in self-defense, that's probably one of the ultimate differences between competition style and self-defense, is we have certain tactics that are for when you have no idea what's going on. I mean, I guess that can still happen in a ring fight, because maybe you could have just been hit, and so when that second punch comes in, you didn't see it, you have no idea what's happening. So I guess in that sense, you would still use a little bit of this tactic, but certainly not from a calm position. So you're hanging around, calm as a clam. And what we're going to be doing is keeping your body distanced. I sometimes get confused with my English. You know when you got kids running around and they get confused with their EDs. So they'll say, I don't know, I can't think of one now. I walked, talked. No, what's something that doesn't have an ED on the end of it? Oh, I rode my bike. I should say I rode my bike. They'll say, I rided my bike, for example. And because you're hearing that all the time, because I hang out with my family most of the time. We don't have a lot of time for, going out socializing. You start saying it yourself. Yeah, no, we're going to ride the bike rode the bike. Anyway, so the idea is when you feel something coming from a position you don't, something's coming from straight in front of me, I'm going to see it, obviously. So we're assuming it's coming kind of from the side. If it's coming from the back, you just get punched in the back of the head. You can't feel that coming. But out of your peripheral vision, you can see stuff up to, 180 degrees from your vision, from your peripheral. So you've felt something coming in. You have no idea what that is. You don't know whether he's got a bat or a knife or it's just a fist or it's an up strike or a down strike. You have no idea what's happening. So you just kind of get away from it, throw your hand out and hope for the best. Because the chances of you getting it right are unlikely. That's why we don't want to go from a neutral position and think, oh, something happened, and go straight into it. Chances are you've done the wrong thing and you've still got punched in the nose. Whereas, of course, if I'm here and it's like, oh, okay, here he comes, then you can use that sort of more barging in principle. So yeah, small sensao is it hands down. So we're assuming this idea of, I'm unawares, I'm relaxed, and whoa, I want to get away from him. In reality, that might become a step. You see, it's the same movement. Whoa, boom. It might even become a step, depending on how much space is around you and things like that. But for the form, we do the swiveling because it's easier to understand this concept of turning the waist when we're swiveling the legs rather than just sort of stepping the legs. So we get that nice centered connection like so. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Men from Niche. Anyone else? You're allowed to ask questions too, Fran, if you want.
Eli,
Yeah.
can you speak a little bit about the circle and like when you're doing your Tai Chi and like the circle on the feet and from the heel, the outside of the foot to the toe, the inside of the foot as you're moving through the postures? Or is it a bit late for that?
Yeah, well, I think for end session questions, we'll try to keep them relating to what we've done as opposed, because that's quite a big subject. Yeah. So yeah, ask me that another time, maybe at the beginning of a class or something. Because that's obviously a much more advanced principle, but that's something I've been thinking about lately. Actually, a lot of the stuff I've been talking about since we've started has been more on the foundational principles, which are the most. Got to get my English right. Which are the most important elements. That's why just a quick note: stop saying basics. Chuck that word out of your vocabulary. If you're training Tai Chi, if you're teaching Tai Chi, don't say we're doing the basics. I'm doing the basic form. I want to do the advanced form. I'm doing the basic form. Forget about that word. Say I'm doing the foundations.
Foundation.
Because straight away, foundations to someone's brain. Foundations, yeah, that's important. That's special. That's like the most important part of anything in the world is the foundations. Whereas basics, that's just that really simple stuff you just need to work on when you're a beginner. That makes you think like when you get advanced, the basics you stop doing, but you never stop doing those basics, so they should be called foundations. So yeah, just a change of mindset to call things foundations instead of basics. But yeah, no, obviously, there are people like Nick down there. He's our instructor in London, so he needs a bit more, couple of extra bits, to help inspire him. Even though I'm sure he's enjoying some of these, repetition and doing the basic stuff. It's foundational stuff. Even Mikkel, he's just about an instructor now, getting there. So like throughout, and there's other people joining here and there that are at that more progressed level. So I'll start mentioning a few of those things, but please keep in mind, if you are more in the early stages of your training, you can have a fiddle around, but just be careful, and I'll mention that at the time when we practice, be careful not to overload your body. Because if you start doing these extra bits, it's like, okay, I want to start painting the house. Hang on, we haven't put the roof on yet. And then it starts raining, and then all your paint's stuffed. You see? So you got to focus on things as they're supposed to go. You can have a little play around, like you're building your house. You haven't put your roof on yet. I just want to check something. I just want to have a little, oh yeah, that color will be nice. Maybe I'll use that later. Now, it doesn't matter if it gets washed away when it rains. You see the idea? So yeah, make sure you don't try to layer in too many things, because what happens is you might think a advanced principle isn't that difficult to do. And sometimes they're not difficult to do. Sometimes they're easier to do than the foundational principles. It's not that they're difficult. It's simply that they're not as important. That's the difference between foundation principles and, I feel like I need to come up with a new word than advanced principles, because I don't like that word either. But anyway, the extra principles, they're simply much more important and less important. What I mean by that is the foundational principles work on their own. You learn that, you've got excellent Taiji. It's fantastic for your body, it's good for fighting, it's good for your health, you'll feel good, everything about it is nice. The advanced principles, on their own, do nothing for you. They suck. They don't work. They don't function. It's like a roof doesn't work if it doesn't have walls coming up to hold it up. It does not work. So foundation principles are so much more important. And that's why we don't want to do all that extra stuff. So if I'm starting to think, oh, hang on, I've got to go to the heel and the toe and the ball and I've got to turn the heel, all these extra little flowery bits, all of a sudden, my brain's not focused on those foundations, and therefore I might say like, oh, okay, I'm coming into this position. Oh, Eli said, oh, he's got to do a little compression here and a twist here and whatever little things I might be talking about. But because I'm focusing on all those extra things, all of a sudden, maybe I'm leaning over, or all of a sudden, maybe I'm sticking my bum out, or something. One of those foundational principles is now lacking, because in the beginning, you need to really focus on those principles in order to make them happen. They won't happen otherwise. You need to think, right, this posture, I've got to tuck, I've got to sink. What are all the things? You have to think about them until they just become a natural part of your muscle memory. When they become natural without having to think about them, that's when you can layer stuff on the top. Yeah.
Cool.
We can also talk, we're doing when's that on Monday, Tuesday, whenever I've scheduled in, you're in for a private class at some point next week. So we'll be able to have a look at that as well. So.
You froze.
Oh, there we are. We're back. Yes. Apparently Ben's internet is a little slower as well. So. Okay. Well, anyone who wants to hang around for another 25 minutes or so, I'm going to do just a bit of physical exercise, body conditioning, body strength work, strength and mobility, all with reference to getting our Taiji better, or Bagua, or Qigong, anything you want. Okay, so yeah, if you're hanging around for that, let's do it. If not, thank you for joining, and I will see you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. What the hell, baby? You're not going to stay for strength training? Is your knee still sore?
A little bit, but I was saying bye to the others that left.
Ah, that's nice. So you are going to stay. Okay. Right, let's do it. So, what's the time now? Yeah. Okay, tell me when it's like just before 8:30, Fran. All right, so we're already warmed up. We've all got our bodies nice and limber and mobile. So let's get straight into some work with our bodies. Okay, what I might give you today is something a little different. Let's train lifting stuff. The last few classes here we've been doing squatty stuff, which is using your legs in a different way. We're going to use lifty exercises today. What we'll do is, let's start off with some actual movements, some kicking sort of actions. And then after that, we'll do more strength part, which is simpler. I'll explain when we get there. So let's start off with some simple kicking actions. How will we do it? Let's just do it facing you, okay? So I'm standing on my back leg, weight on the back leg, okay? All I'm going to do is simply lift that leg up in front of me, like so. As I do that, I'm straightening up my standing leg as well. So everything's standing up, nice and tall. Lift that knee as high as you possibly can. Really lift it up without leaning backwards. And then hold your hands up, just kind of in guard. And then just extend your leg out and keep it as high as you can. It will drop a little bit, the knee will go down a little bit, but keep it as high as you can. Switch legs, lift that leg up as high as you can, and then kick it out. You'll notice I'm not squatting down when I kick the leg out. I'm keeping my body up when I kick the leg out. So standing up, hold that leg up, think upward thoughts, and then tuck it back in. Notice when it comes back in, it's coming back into here. It's not in any way doing this when it comes down, which is the same thing you should be doing if throwing a boom, a proper kick. You see, we don't want to be kicking like that and having your foot go down afterwards, otherwise you're off balance, especially if someone's grabbing or blocking your foot. So left leg up. Stand upright. When you're standing upright, you should really feel that standing glute, boom, because it's straightening up your body. So that standing glute should be firing when you lift it up. Stretch it out, bring it back in. Now don't worry if you can't get it that high. You might be able to, most people can lift the knee fairly high here with it bent, but if when you straighten it, it's coming down something like this, that's fine, no problem. Just as long as you're keeping it as high as you can. So again, standing up, bring it back in, switch sides. Switch sides. Switch sides again. Keep it going. Feel the burn in here. When you straighten that leg out, that thigh should be going, ooh, that's difficult. This is all your hip flexors now. You're strengthening those hip flexors. Tight hip flexors, by the way, are usually caused by weak hip flexors. When your hip flexors are weak, they can get very tight because it's like they're always under so much stress because they're not strong enough to do the jobs they're supposed to do. So you strengthen them. I mean, you need to stretch them as well, of course, but strengthen your hip flexors as you're lengthening them, as you're doing your, in partnership with stretching. And of course strengthening other things like your glutes, because other areas of your body can create tightness in your hip flexors as well. Okay, relax that out. Okay, now we're going to do the opposite of that. We're going to lift the leg to the rear. We're going to do the most simple version of it first, and then we'll just layer in the more difficult versions. So let's say I'm going to face this way, so that because I'm going to be facing this rear wall, okay? My standing leg is facing directly to the wall here. My kicking leg, the opposite direction, 180 degrees to where my left foot is facing. All I'm going to do is turn my body so I'm facing the wall here, okay? Well, essentially, turn your body enough so you can actually see to the rear. I'm twisting my body, da-da-da-da-da, and I'm looking to the rear. My head's turned a bit. My shoulders basically are facing this wall here, this rear green wall. Or, yeah, green, that's green, isn't it? And I'm looking to the rear. Then all you're going to do from this position, before we do anything, turn, look at the knee. Do not turn the hips too far that cause this to collapse. Okay? So only open your hip to where it goes there. Don't let that happen. And then the rest of the twisting has got to come from your upper body. Okay? So most importantly, keep that knee in line with your toe. So twist to face to the rear. Notice my left hand is just here by my cheek. My right hand is down here. Okay, now I'm just going to slide that foot along the floor and then tilt over a little bit and lift the leg up. Like so. And again, lifting it just as high as you can. Bring it back down, slide it back on the floor. Same again, slide. Notice in this case, the previous kick we were staying upright. Back kicks, you must lean over. So I'm leaning over in the opposite direction of the kick. Don't lean like over here, for example. You must lean in the complete opposite direction of where the kick is going to. So I'm sliding that foot back, opening the body. Now I'm going to tilt over this way. I'm going to engage this glute, lift up the leg. My standing leg is almost straight. It's just got a little soften to it. And then it's just up to you as to how high you want to go. And then put it back down, touch the toe and slide it back. As I've said in previous classes, if you're really struggling with the balance, it's better to hold on to something than be trying to do the technique like, you know, trying to find your balance like that. Don't do that. Put your fingertip on a wall in front of you or anything that you can grab onto. Preferably something actually here would be nice if you had a little something there. So if I'm doing it here, in fact, I can hold the wall. Look, I can put my hand right here on the wall. That way I can bend my body as much as I want. Get the strength side of things. Get the muscles used to the posture. Learn the technique before you have to worry about balance. Just like ballerinas do, holding onto their bar when they're doing their little, you know, leg movements. Okay, so twist, slide, have your wall there, something to touch if you need it, lift it up, so squeezing from that glute, hamstrings, lower back, all of that region is sort of flexing up, and just lift it as high as you can. So notice I'm lifting the leg itself as high as it can go, and then if I want to go any higher than that, well, of course, it's up to the standing leg. I've got to lean over this standing leg here in order to get that leg higher, okay? Let's try a few times on the other side. So just completely switch it, put the foot the opposite way, like so. Open the body, again, knee in line with toe. Slide your foot back, and then start to tilt, start to lift. Keep your eyes focused down to that direction, past where your kick's going, and hold it up. Hold onto your lamp if you need to. I love lamp. And then bring it down and relax. Same thing again. Turn, slide, toe on the ground, leaning over a bit, and then just lift it up. Buttercup baby, just let me down. Bring it back in and finish. One more on that side. Relax it out. Okay, I'll give you one more version. We'll just do a couple on each side. For those of you who are, who've been learning that for a while, if you really struggled with that, with the balance, just do that again as we do the slightly more difficult version, okay? Yeah. So we'll go back to the opposite side again. All the alignments, the final posture is exactly the same. We're just going to get into it a little bit differently. So the line of the leg, the kicking, the posture, everything's the same. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my body. Now, instead of sliding my foot to the rear, keeping it on the ground, I'm going to go to this position. I'm going to lift my leg now. I'm just going to lift it off the ground, right up in the air. So it looks like that. Just pick up the knee with the foot bent in. Then I'm going to keep it up, you see, as I tilt over. And then instead of lifting it into the position, it's already lifted, you see. So it's going to pump and then retract and then come in and then come down. That's what it looks like just from a front view. Now let's do it like so. And again, feel free to grab the wall where needed. Lift it up. Tilt over. Still got the leg chambered as I'm tilting over. And then kick it out. Boom. Tuck it in. Straighten your body up. Keep the knee up, up, up. Then relax it back down. Let's try a couple on the other side. Turn your body. Lift the knee up high as you can. Tilt your body over, keeping the knee chambered in. And then kick the leg out like so. Tuck it back in. Straighten your body. Tuck your pelvis back under. And then relax. Obviously, your pelvis is not tucked when you're kicking backwards. You will have a little bit of an arch in your lower back whenever you're kicking backwards, whenever you're stepping backwards. Anything that is projecting out the rear, you're not going to tuck forwards and kick backwards because the power is going in the opposite direction. So, one more of those. Over, up, tilt, up, up, up. Think upward thoughts. Extend, tuck the pelvis back in, and relax down. So, those are the two foundation basic kicks, front kick and back kick, okay? Doing those two kicks really work all of the lifting muscles. And especially once we start doing that one from here, because you even get that little transitional point, because obviously when you're right out to the rear, you're using more the back. When you're in the front, you're using the front. But when do we use the side? We don't kick sideways. You never kick on a side angle, because kicks don't work like that. Well, you can do little fluffy kicks, but not a decent proper kick. There's just no real power apart from the leg pushing forward. Maybe a little low stompy kick down here, but nothing lifting up. But you get that lifting aspect here as the transition. There is where I'm using that. That's why I say that little transition point is really important, not to, for example, come to here and then drop your leg down here. You've got to bring it from that back facing position, bring it in. See, now I've got the hips on the sideline. That's where I'm exercising that. You see, that's a side position on the hip. So as I say, these body movement classes, they're always going to be about learning movement, not just purely, doing push-ups or something like that. But what we're going to do now is we're going to take those same muscles we've just used and just put them into a really basic workout routine. So then when we come back to learning it, I always like to do the kicks first, because if you do the workout first, then you try to do the kicks and your muscles already exhausted, you won't be able to learn the kicks. It's just like if you're going to do some sparring, do your sparring first, then go and do your bag work or something. Don't wear yourself out. Then when you do your sparring, you're using all terrible technique and learning the wrong stuff into your body. Right, so let's do, how much time have we got to finish this off? Oh, nice. We've got at least 7 minutes. Okay, so coming back to this front leg now, all we're going to do is the same thing as the front kick. Lift it up, keep it like really as tall as you possibly can, upright, tall as you can, high as you can, and pause at the top. Hold it, drop it. Same leg this time. Hold it, drop it. Hold it, drop it. Up, That's 10. Now, same thing without holding it. 1, 2, 3. Same movement. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Bit quicker. 9, 10. Loosen that leg out a little. Other leg. 1. 2. 3. 4. Really squeeze that standing glute, remember. Stand up. Engage that standing glute. Okay, now pulse it. 1. Keep your hands up. 2. 3. Don't forget to stand up on the standing leg. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. 9. 10. Just lengthen that out a little. Not hard. You've just done a workout on that muscle. Don't go, whoa, try to really stretch it out. Just gently lengthen into that muscle a little bit. Okay? Just to make sure it doesn't tighten up too much. You don't want to do an extreme stretch after you've just really tightened up the muscle. Otherwise the muscles just go, what the hell's going on, you know? You want your muscles to be happy when you're trying to lengthen them. You want them to be feeling safe. So, as I say, just a gentle lengthening and then switch to the other side. Gentle lengthening, tucking your pelvis under so that you get in, because we're trying to get the stretch in here, not so much down through the lower section of the leg. Okay. Find yourself a wall. I've only really got this back wall. I would prefer to be facing sideways. Maybe I could use, as long as I don't hit this TV here. This is not ideal because I'd rather my hands a little lower, but you get the idea. Lean onto your wall like so. So you're leaning forward, okay? Your pressure's on the wall, okay? And then you're simply going to lift your leg straight out to the rear, back in, and then to the rear corner. Out to this side and back in, and then repeat. 1, hold, down. 2, hold, down. Hold, down. Okay, just like before, we're going to do it with a bit more kick this time. Bit of momentum and without stopping. So same thing, to the rear, to the corner, and then repeat. So, 1, 2, 1. Okay, relax that leg. Going to do the whole set now on the other side. So obviously with all of these movements that we're doing, I'm only doing these classes twice a week. So, you know, you should try to do them more regularly than this. Take some of these moves, see which ones you really need to do for yourself, which work for you, which are like, oh, I'm a bit weak there, I need to strengthen that area. Do them regularly, do them several times a week. Okay, back to the wall. Lean forward. Lift the legs slowly to the rear. Back in, slowly to the rear corner. Back in. Notice the whole pelvis is moving along with the movement. It's tucking in when the foot's coming back, and it's extending out when the foot's coming backwards. I've lost count now. We'll call that 6. Okay, same thing again. Quick, kick it up, straight into the next one, no pausing. Okay, let's just stretch out that region of the body. So we're going to sit down into a squat. Maybe some people can't do squats. So let's start by just squatting gently and curling yourself up into a ball a little bit to stretch this area out, like we do in the mornings. So curl up, like so. Just lengthening again, very gently. Just lengthening into that whole lower back region, wriggling it around because you've been using that a lot. And then if you're able to, come down into a squat. That's a nice one to lengthen out the lower back, like so. And then just sit down onto the floor. Take one leg under you, like so. Then the other leg over that leg. Pull it in and hug your microphone. There we go. Hug your knee to your chest. Tilt your pelvis downwards. Don't curl your pelvis under, you won't get a stretch there. Push your pelvis backwards to stretch that muscle. So your pelvis is rotating down, like as if you're trying to stick your bum outward, like to the rear. So you're trying to get this stretch into the glutes here. Relaxing that whole area that we've just been working. Again, not too extreme. Don't force it. Just a gentle little wake up, little, hey dude, it's all right. I know I've put you under some stress, but we're going to chill out now. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Sun's coming up. It's blue skies today. Switch your legs. Stretching into that opposite glute. And relax out. Let's just try and do our stand up. So from that position, place your palms onto the ground, either fists, fingers or palms. Palms is more difficult because you're lower to the ground. Fists lift you up a little bit, and then just squeeze your feet in till you're in a squatting position, like so. If you can't squat, make that your first priority. Squatting is one of the most fundamental foundations of the human body. All humans should be able to do this. It's not oh, I'm built differently. No, every child in the world can squat. I mean, unless you're literally born with your leg facing the wrong way or something, but anyone who's, got a normal body, you should be able to squat. Standing up. All right. Are there any questions about that stuff? Kicking and so on. Hey, you didn't tell me when it was 8:30.
Well, you had checked when it was 7 minutes to
Oh,
8,
I see.
so.
All right. So, how did that feel on your bums?
Really great.
Good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Did that work for you, Marianne?
I have to adjust, especially the sitting
Oh, yeah.
movements.
Yeah.
But the kick in front, so it went well, and
Yeah.
it's good for my balance. That's this. I can take some moments I can do it, but then I have to adjust. But
Yeah.
it's good for me for the
Excellent.
balance, and it's very good exercise. Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love doing those kicks. The slow, controlled kicks. They're just fantastic for everything around your pelvis, your hips, your lower back, all of that stuff. They're really, really nice, especially when doing them slowly. Because when you do them fast, like a proper kick, still excellent for your body. But on the other hand, you can overdo it and hurt your body as well. If you're not totally aware, or you're trying to show off to people, or whatever you're trying to do. I remember years ago, I don't know, it must be 15 years ago now or something, I was doing a video demonstration of the whole Bagua linear form, and it's an incredibly long form. It's got like the same amount of movements as Yang Lu Chan's form or something, but it's all fast and explosive. So it's a very difficult form to get from start to finish without making mistakes. Now I wanted to have it like really precise on the camera. So instead of trying to do the whole thing in one hit, I shot it at different camera angles. So, okay, I'll do like how you choreograph a fight scene in a film, right? You only ever see a few seconds of one take, and then they switch to here. So it looks like a flowing sequence, but actually it's many, many short takes. Anyway, there's a bunch of kicks at the end of it. By the end, because I'd been doing so many takes on everything else, that one wasn't quite exactly perfect, do it again. Got to the end, I was tired, pretty exhausted by that point, but the last two kicks are like big back spinning kicks, big high kicks, spinning around, extreme sort of kicks. And, again, doing those over and over. No, that wasn't high enough, wasn't fast enough, kept going. And then, at the end of that, I'd really injured myself. I'd swung my leg out, and I actually hurt my hip, spasmed my lower back. I damaged myself. But that's only because I overdid it. I was doing it for someone else's benefit, not my own. I was doing it for the camera. That's when you start going wrong. And that's really the problem with competition. That's when people injure themselves. Not to say I disagree with competition. I think competitions on the one hand are great because they can, give you the incentive to push yourself and be the best and all that sort of stuff. That's great. But it can also cause you to, I've got to beat that other guy, even if it means, and then, you break yourself, even though you got the higher lift, you got the faster run, whatever. But if you do it for yourself, no one's watching, you're just doing it for your own personal preference. Even if you are doing the kicks, if I start to get a bit tired or, feel a bit like, oh, that's not feeling so comfortable, well, then I can just cool down. But if I'm at a workshop, I'm like, right, guys, bang, 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 I've got to impress the crowd or something. Then, ow. Then you can, oops, okay, that's gone under the couch, whoops. Kicking is fantastic for your health. All right, well, thank you all for joining me. It's nice to have such a. I think this is the biggest group we've had to the workout session so far. So that's really nice. Yeah, I'll see you all at the whatever next class you can make. Next class is tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. or similar sort of thing to today. Yeah, and I'll see you later today, darling.
Bye. Bye.
Have fun. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.